Hi everyone, welcome to our live stream. This is Holly from ICAM and we're here with Alex and Eric from Prismic. We're going to get started shortly. We're going to be talking through headless website technology and the benefits for businesses and their marketing teams. So we'll start off with David, who's going to go through kind of the top level information about Headless and kind of the overarching benefits before Prismic will give a presentation on some of the features, and then Jane will go into a case study with some Q&A at the end. So first of all, I just want to give you a little look at our speakers who will be speaking today. So they'll be featured down in the corner so you can watch them while they go through, but we'll take you through a presentation with slides just so you've got some visuals and you can follow. And if for anyone watching the recording back, it'll just give you a guide on where we're up to in the presentation. So first, I'll get the team on. David, I'll pass it over to you.
Hello. So I'm David, head developer at ICOM.
Brilliant. So David, do you want to go into kind of the overarching things on Headless, kind of introducing it for people who don't know what it is and kind of how it differs to typical websites?
So what is headless? So I'm going to get a little bit anatomical. So try and stay with me. Picture this. There's a typical business, a digital platform or a website, and see them as a person. So the person has a head. And this is how things look, the front end, or as I like to call it, the face of the business. This is what you want to be seeing on a website or application. It's the pretty stuff, the interface, the nice visuals, and your marketing message. It's the mouthpiece of the business. On the other side, you've got the body. Now, there's a lot goes on in the body, and it's where real magic happens. It's keeping the blood of the business pumping. It's where all your data and administration takes place. It's the heart. It's the stomach digesting your leads, and it's keeping everything alive and kicking. Now, developers are very good at coining terms, and they've coined the term headless. So for some reason, so this essentially means we're going to chop off the head from the body. And before you get too worried, it's a lot more effective for a business than it is for a person. So headless brings something that everyone loves, and that's separation of concerns. Your content creators can create digital experiences and knowing they're not going to take the website down. And your developers and your designers can concentrate on making the best visuals and enhancing that performance that you need to get the best for user experience. We also need to be aware that headless opens up opportunities for omnichannel. Omnichannel is essentially making your content available in many, many different areas. So it's been the same content being on your website, your mobile app, your smartwatch, the screen at the bus stop. It's being able to have that same data powering all these different devices, but it's not in one place. So you're not having to go and copy and paste into different systems to be able to show stuff in all these different arenas. So traditional CMSs, or as I like to call them, monoliths, all your applications, all your body of your business is all one thing attached to the same head. And the other thing, you could have multiple bodies. So you could have a CMS system, an e-commerce system, a CRM system, and all that data can be fed into these different front ends. It could be fed into your website. It could be fed into your mobile apps. It could fed, like I said, it could be fed into a bus stop if that's the way the world ends up going. Let's get into some of the nitty gritty. So, a question: why do headless websites, number one, offer superior performance, and why on earth does it matter? So, first off, headless tech is absolutely fantastic for leveraging modern front-end frameworks like Next.js, Nuxt, and React. Now, a lot of these names, if you're not into coding, can be a little bit techno-babble, and you really don't care about the names anyway. But just trust me, they are pretty much the superheroes of the internet world. These frameworks are designed to be super fast, super efficient, and super reliable, which is everything you want for a smooth user experience. And speaking of user experience, we've all been in this place where we're on a train, on the way to work, we're looking at a website, our connection's not great on our mobile, and we're trying to get on this website, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. With headless, things get delivered at extremely fast response times. So we kind of reduce that wait time hugely. That means the users get the content faster. And why does that matter? Down to bounce rates. For those who aren't familiar with the term bounce, it's when someone visits your website and then they leave without interacting any further. So bouncing is like walking into a store and then just immediately turning around and walking back out again. And it's not what you want to be doing if you're selling something online. High bounce rates means two things. Users aren't finding what they're looking for, or they just can't be bothered looking for it because it's taking too long. So we have to try and reduce them bounce rates, and by making sure that users have the information they need and it's there as fast as they want it. So having headless performing and the performance it brings means you can have significant reduction in bounce rates. And with that, obviously, lower bounce rates translates into better conversions. And I'm going to give you a couple of statements from a couple of organizations was a little bit more influential than myself. So bounce rates increase by 123% if page loading times become more than 1 second. And for every second delay in a mobile page load, conversions fall by up to 20%. So let's just think about this for a second. How much does 1 second cost your business in revenue? How much is it costing to not be headless? And for many, many companies, or most companies, that is a significant amount, and it's something we should all be thinking about and how to drive that performance metric fast up so that we can make the most of the business. Let's continue this journey, and the all-important question of security and keeping our data secure and stopping us from being fined or sued. So, how does headless help here? Well, quite a lot. When we say headless, we essentially mean the back end, the body, is safer tucked away from public view. So you might have visualized it in this way. Imagine your back end is some kind of secret vault with valuable assets, which is data. And going headless is like taking that data in that vault and just put it in a completely undisclosed location. So the valuable assets are in that vault, and any potential attacker doesn't know where that is anymore. Where in more traditional CMSs, that data is essentially connected to your website already. So an attacker can attack your website and trying to access your data by essentially attacking your front end. With headless as well, the other thing is content is delivered via API. So the front end is only ever getting the information it needs. It's not getting all the information. And why this matters is with the front end, say that if you've got a traditional, say WooCommerce, for example, you've got a WooCommerce site, someone attacks your WooCommerce front end and they can somehow do what we like to call SQL injections. So they're they're looking to access your database, essentially, and your front end is connected to your database. They can access that database, they can now access your customers' information, which is essentially something you don't want. By using APIs, the front end, the content, doesn't have any information about the data and sales. That's a completely different system. So you kind of keep your security a little bit better that way. Next, we're going to tackle adaptability. And this is one of the huge and massively underrated benefits of headless. We need to be able to change, and we need to be able to change fast. So adaptability, there's a few things here. Number one, separations of concerns. With headless technology, developers and designers aren't handcuffed to a particular technology or platform for creating the user experience. They can use the right tech for the job, one that's going to make the digital platform shine the brightest. So say you're a chef, you want to be able to pick them ingredients from around the world to create the perfect dish. You don't want to be just using whatever's in your fridge and just from your local supermarket around the corner. And it's similar for developers being able to use the different tools, but it's also not just about techies. Business owners, you need to be able to use the best in-class tools to manage your sales and marketing. So imagine just for a second, you're not tied to a particular content management system or a CRM system or an email system or a warehousing system, because you've got this one system and you need to think about how it's all interconnected into each other and how it's interconnected into your website. And you end up having these big one huge systems. Instead, if your content and your CRM and your sales data are all separated, you can quickly change in bits in and out. So, for example, I like to think of a platform an e-commerce platform, Magento. So Magento is a monolith. It does a lot. So it will do your product content. You can do your email marketing. People use it for. You can put plugins and chatbots and whatever else you want to into this one system and try and run your whole business on one system. So with Magento, Magento had a first version. And a lot of people are using this first version because obviously large system is doing everything they need to do, is actually working quite well for them. But then there comes a point where this system becomes outdated. It becomes slower, it becomes more insecure. And essentially, Magento decide we're going to ditch Magento, we're going to now have Magento 2. And then you have this issue where you have to now go, as a business, everything I have to do is being upended. I have to completely use a completely different system. You've got all the learnings of a different system and all that. And the migration costs of going to different systems. With Headless, you don't have to have a massive re-implementation. You can use what you need to in separate systems. So if you're using MailChimp for emails, instead of having a central system that's in the middle, just use MailChimp and then connect to your email sign up straight from your front end. If you're using Salesforce for your CRM, instead of having a middle system where all your data is going into, you're just connecting your front end straight to Salesforce to be able to get what it needs to if it needs to. Of systems, obviously, warehouse systems, if you want to order tracking, if it's easy to just pull straight from your warehouse, pull it from your warehouse. We don't need to have this middle system. And then if you ever need to change one of the systems, you're not having to re-implement all your things. You don't have to have a new front-end build. You don't have to have a new whole system, and your IT department have to be involved in choosing and picking stuff. Because if your business can just pick and choose the tools it needs and implement into your website. And I'm going to call it a completely different turn now, and I'm going to talk about storytelling. So storytelling is one of the most important aspects of marketing. Let's dive into this. So traditionally, you've got traditional CMSs, they had a bit of a fallback. So a lot of them wouldn't let you preview content, or they wouldn't let you, traditional CMSs would, but when we went into headless CMSs, developers kind of ran with it because of the elegance and the tech, but they kind of left the marketing teams behind. They didn't think about what about their storytelling needs. How do they actually get this content across in the best way for the user? So a lot of the older headless CMSs, they don't have preview mode. So you can't, the person creating the content can't see what they're actually doing, or they won't be able to make visual experiences, which obviously is completely key to be able to do the best storytelling and get the best for the user. So at Icon, I was always very cautious about putting headless because we're very much a marketing focused agency, and we very much need to be able to make sure that it's not just about the speed, it's also essentially about being able to show the person the thing they actually want. The customer needs to be able to see that message, needs to be able to see it clear, and then be able to guide it into buying or generating leads. So essentially come across Prismic. Prismic can kind of come to the rescue a little bit with Slice Machine. So Prismic very much understand that content creators need to be able to storytell in this digital world, and their system brings the benefits of being a headless CMS, but also have that storytelling requirement, which Alex is probably going to go into and show in more detail in a second. So with Prismic Slice Machine, you get all the benefits of headless technology that we want to rave about, but the flexibility and the ease that the marketers love. So it's a win-win situation and a massive leap forward. So it's kind of a bit of a wrap from me, and Alex is now going to dive a bit more deeper into Prismic and how that works and how you can it works from a site to an end story.
All right. Thank you, David. Let me just share my screen in just a sec. Hi, my name is Alex Trost. I am the developer experience lead at Prismic. Before working at Prismic, I was a front-end web developer at agencies and SaaS startups. And so I kind of have a good understanding of what different companies need from a CMS, and I actually built sites with Prismic before I got to work for them. So I kind of have that understanding. I've worked with everything, well, pretty much with everything that David touched on. Magento, I've worked with WordPress, I've worked with lots of different headless CMSs too. And I kind of want to tell you why I love working with Prismic and why I think Prismic and the entire ecosystem that we have either built or kind of made easy to work into your website flow is, in my opinion, the best website building flow out there. And it all comes down to what we call slices. Slices are something that you're familiar with, but we have kind of made it so that designers, developers, and content teams can all come around and agree on this one unit where content teams don't want to talk about code so much or white space. And so we have this thing called slices that everyone can agree on, of saying, hey, we need a new slice. And what slices are is essentially page sections that you are familiar with. So if you know hero banners and these logo clouds, features, pricing tables, all of those kinds of common parts of a website, we call slices. And by building around that, you'll see kind of how your website becomes much more powerful. It becomes much more performant. It'll allow you to iterate and create pages quicker and improve those pages quicker, and also keep your brand really strong without diluting it as you build pages faster, right? Like you'll still keep your brand as strong as you need it to be. So let's kind of walk through kind of the life cycle of a website. So here we are in Figma. It's a developer tool that the vast majority of developers are using these days. Your devs don't, your designers, I've been saying developer, haven't I? It's a design tool. Sorry, designers out there. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for that. It is a design tool, and it's kind of become like the de facto design tool. And here in our Figma file, our designer has made us a collection of slices. So they've gone in, we have this like strong brand with the colors and everything. And they've made us a collection of heroes that we will later be able to use and choose from. They've made us a collection of logo clouds, and they've kind of just given us these different pieces of a website, rather than them sitting back and going, all right, this is how the homepage has to look, and that takes a week. And then they go, all right, this is how the features page has to look, and that takes a week. And like every time you as a content person or as a marketer wants a new page, you don't want to have to wait a week just for design to finish and then development, right? So they kind of create these building blocks called slices up front. And then we can see here within Figma that you can kind of get a sense for how the homepage might look. And you might go, okay, I want to start with a hero. Then I want to go into this feature slice. And then I want to have testimonials. But you know what? I don't like the way that this testimonials look. So I'm going to choose a variation. And maybe we'll do the scrolling cards one. Or maybe we'll use a separator. And maybe we want the testimonial slice to go above the feature slice. And just like it was that easy to drag it up in Figma and move things around and kind of see what it looks like, you can do that same thing in Prismic. So this unit of the slice is so powerful, and it starts here in the design tool. This is where developers can actually come in and match what is in the Figma file. And so they can come in here and they can match the title, the description, the label, and the link, and they can add more fields as needed. So if we say, we want some text at the bottom, I can easily come in here and add another field, and then that will be reflected in Prismic in the page builder when content teams go to fill that in. But this is where your developers can build slices faster because they get these quick mocks. They can simulate them right here. They see the exact code and how it's exactly going to look once it's live on the website, so that they can build it here in this nice isolated area, so that they can iterate faster. Building in isolation like this for developers absolutely accelerates their growth, or it accelerates their work process. Having these snapshots, we'll see them again later in just a second, but these are all of our slices, and this matches up with what our designers gave us. Before we move on, I just want to show, here are the variations too. So we provide a nice way for, in the page builder, content teams to choose which variation they want, and then developers get a nice, easy way to toggle different styles, different fields, pretty much anything. A variation can change whatever your design team wants it to change, right? So some come with images. That's a whole new field, and you can absolutely add that into a variation that's completely valid. And as you see, this keyboard image, all this stuff, this is mocks that are auto-generated. So as a developer, I don't have to go and find a sample image and bring it in and upload it. I move so much faster. So Slice Machine is the tool for developers that makes building slices faster and will make slices more powerful once they get to the page builder. So now that we've seen kind of like the lab where those get cooked up in code, let's head to the actual page builder. And remind me if I forget, this is the current version of the page builder, but we have a brand new, completely revamped version of the page builder coming very soon that I can share the link to get into early access program for, and I'll show a bit of it. It's very exciting. So here in the page builder, you have what everyone loves about Prismic, besides slices, is the simplicity of the page builder. If you've worked in a lot of other CMSs, you will know that you kind of like hit the dashboard and you go, whoa, where do I start? What do I click? What is going on? What are all these buttons and knobs and everything? Prismic, we absolutely pride ourselves on making it so that you can get up and running very quickly. There's not a lot of complication, but it's still very powerful. So simple but powerful is kind of our like design mantra. So you will most likely enjoy working in the page builder. And the new one, as I said, is even more powerful, but still has that trademark simplicity. So if you look here in the page builder, this is my homepage. So here is the homepage running on my local environment. You see we have this hero slice, we have a logo slice. So like now that we're connecting it from design to code all the way through, you see, okay, like this is a website, right? Like this kind of looks like my website. And you're familiar with the way that this looks, but you might not have thought about websites in this slice methodology before. So now that we kind of see like, okay, here are these slices, here's that hero at the top and then a logo grid. Let's see what that looks like in the page builder. We have the hero at the top and they see a little separation here and you have the logo cloud. Right here in between, we have this little plus icon and we can add our slices. Now, remember the screenshots from earlier? That's where they become really handy because you might forget what call to action or logo cloud or text or form, or I mean, like sometimes components and slices, you get so many that you kind of forget, like, what does that one mean again? That's where these snapshots come in handy and you're able to just kind of like at a glance see, yes, that's what I'm looking for. And you also see that it says how many variations that slice has. And so this is the environment in which you as a content team can come in, you can start to change things around, you can shift even logos within the logo cloud, or you can move entire slices up and down just like we were in Figma. And that allows for really rapid page building. Like you're not starting from scratch. You are starting from exactly where your designers and developers set you up, because they gave you these pieces that you as a content team can pick up on your own, can move around in Prismic on your own, or even reference the Figma file and kind of like play with those like building blocks in a sense. And it allows you just to be empowered so that once design and dev ship and they give you, 12 slices or, however many variations, you don't have to go back to them for every page. You can continue to iterate and improve existing pages and build new ones without even, messaging them on Slack. So that's really where the power comes in. We also have support for different locales. So like yes, I'm going to leave, discard my changes. It's fine. You can hop back and forth between those locales easily. And here in our little demo, we have a quick language switcher. And so that's another powerful part of Prismic that opens you up, opens you and your company up not only to building quickly with slices and having this whole workflow make you quicker, but then it expands your potential reach to lots of other countries, lots of other people who might not speak the language that you started out in. So that is basically the Prismic workflow, everything that David touched on in terms of, let me just double check because I did take notes on that. We are headless. So this site here is built in Next.js, one of the super powered sites frameworks that David touched on. It's phenomenal. It's kind of the gold standard for what people are building websites and apps in these days. So you can build this site and have it statically generate your pages so that even if you are getting bombarded on Black Friday or whatever holiday is the big shopping day in your country, your site is still up. It's still performing just as fast for one person as it is for 500,000 people. So that is some of the power that comes with Headless, is that you don't have a server like you do with WordPress where you're just getting hammered and you and your developers need to update WordPress and go in there. Prismic, we take care of the updates. Pages are typically built statically. There's just so many benefits that I'm not going to repeat all of David's talk because he covered it all. But I just want to say all of that applies to Prismic. We are secure. It allows you to be dynamic and adaptable, and allows you to tell great stories. We actually just launched a brand new website over at Prismic. So this is our website. And we hope we are doing a good job with storytelling, but you can check it out. It's all built obviously with Prismic and slices. But yeah, so we eat our own dog food, we drink our own champagne, and we build with Prismic every day, and we turn what we learn back into improvements to the tool. And speaking of that, after years of working with the current page builder and working and seeing where improvements can happen, we now have a new page builder that we are unveiling within the next month or two. And I am so excited for this. Like you have no idea. It's just what I talk about with pretty much everyone now. And it is, I don't think this is going to have music. I'm just going to keep it muted. And basically it is bringing a live preview element to what I just showed you. And that's just the beginning, so that you can go in and see right over on the left exactly what it's looking like. Kind of like when I was doing it in Slice Machine in the developer tool, you'll be able to have that within your page builder, so that as you're creating content, you don't have to kind of hit preview and go see what it looks like over on your website. You don't have to wait for any builds or anything. It allows you to iterate much faster and see that your brand is still strong, still intact. And yeah, I'm really thrilled for this. I'll try to get this link. So if you go to prismic.io, you'll see it right at the top. We'll do that because I'm not sure how to get this link in through the chat right now. But prismic.io, click the link at the top, and give Prismic a try. So you just saw that workflow from design to development to content team in this kind of abstract demo kind of way. And now Jane is going to show you how that's how in the real world, when we actually deliver this with a great agency and a great client, this can turn into really incredible results for growth, for sales, for all of it. So Jane, turning it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex from Prismic. That was a really great intro to the system. And yeah, as he mentioned there, I'm going to be speaking briefly about the specific case study JMW, which we launched a few months ago, who are a legal client, which I was very heavily involved in. I was the project manager on that. A little bit about me. My name's Jane. I've been at Icon for over 10 years now. I've kind of run the gamut from online marketing, so paid search, organic search, and moved into project management. So I've got quite an interesting kind of background, but it lends me to understanding what client needs versus dev needs versus everything in between. So the challenge for JMW could be somewhat simplified into 3 major objectives, which often resonate with a lot of companies out there: refreshing the brand, improving that user experience and the conversion rates, and ultimately future-proofing their website. The aim was not really just to create an appealing visual aesthetic, but also deliver a seamless and really rewarding user journey. It was also a really great opportunity to streamline the brand across departments, where sort of over time things have become a little bit more diverse depending on who was uploading content at any given time, as well as bring it a little bit more in line with the newer offline branding that JMW had started to create. We wanted to ensure that their platform was well equipped with necessary versatility and flexibility to meet those changing demands of the future, and Prismic was really quite key to helping us achieve this. So the next part I want to really sort of go into and talk about is how we went about doing just that. So let's look at Prismic. I mean, Alex has given us a great overview, David's given us a good overview of Headless, but Prismic, as you've seen, offers a really straightforward approach to content management. You've got flexibility to create this library of content slices. So the design and dev teams create that library for you, and you can use them across the site. And you can either limit that to certain types. So you might have for blog or news only certain slices in use, or you can allow all different content types to have full access to the library for, much more content rich pages, such as services or hubs, for example. Think of your web page as a composition of these sections. As Alex was saying, you've got your header, you've got your sidebar, your main content, you might have some inheritable content going on, and ultimately you've got your headers and footers with your navs going on. By utilizing Prismic's pre-built slices, we can ensure that the content remains consistently on brand, as Alex mentioned, and that's irrespective of its position or use within the page. Its interface is really straightforward, it's really user-friendly, and as Alex said before, it removes the need for really advanced technical skills, and it also removes any unnecessary bloat that you often get with the off-the-shelf CMS, the content management systems out there. And it's really, really great from personal experience for project managers, and when training up key members of staff, whether that is within a marketing agency, whether that's within the client side themselves, it's a really nice, user-friendly, easy-to-use platform. So next, what we've done is really highlighted a few examples of the slices that went into the new site. Alex kind of mentioned slices in general. Here is actually some in use, and if you actually go to the JMW site, you'll be able to see these slices in use. Delving into the details, in this instance, Prismic offers diverse options for headers. We can include varying calls to action, the phone numbers and so on, image options, a selection of iconography in there to really sort of drill down into each of the service areas. We can also incorporate trust signals into the site, such as case studies, include things like Trustpilot reviews, review solicitors in this particular instance, little widgets here and there, and certainly display awards and accreditations in a variety of different ways, depending on what slices have been used. Furthermore, Prismic enables us to create really clear site navigation with signposts, good sub-navigation, introduce different blogs, news, and features for key individual pages and people within the site. And lastly, really, we can effectively implement the calls to action, whether it's buttons or forms, phone numbers, or even just someone's email address, to ensure that those users always have key access to the business in whatever format they prefer to digest. So while the system is great for the business and it's great for the teams sort of in the background, managing and producing the content, the next part I want to really talk about is the improvements we've already seen since the site launched a few months ago. Since going headless, our average page load times decreased by 23%. The server response time is a massive 70% improved. And we've also experienced 18% reduction in bounce rate and increased our pages per session by 35%. Ultimately, this means users are more engaged, they're being served content quicker, they're finding what they need sooner, and the overall initial feedback from both the staff at JMW as well as clients, was the site that was lightningly quick and it was easy to navigate, which really ticked 2 huge boxes that we were hoping for. Taking a little bit of a segue to organic traffic specifically, we haven't seen that huge kind of dip off in terms of leads and generation that you can get after a brand new site's launch, especially given that there were some structural changes that happened. The results are in some ways even more impressive, the 19% reduction in the bounce rate and a really good significant 42% increase in pages per session. So users are really liking and engaging with the content. So finally, really, I want to talk about future-proofing, which is something that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds. With any change of platform, and especially with a site like this, which had over 3,000 pages to migrate, many of which were quite complex in structure, this was understandably a large-scale migration that we managed for JMW. To future-proof this, we've used the headless technology specifically, in this case, obviously Prismic, to decouple that content from the front end, which grants us great flexibility in managing and updating the website's components. It just separates that content from design, so JMW won't have to go through that large-scale migration, that huge pain point, again, should they wish to update their website. With technology ever improving, it's really key that we have the ability to integrate useful third-party tools where appropriate. We use the best solutions for whatever we need. And this headless solution meant we can use Algolia for search, for example, to ensure that the best user experience when looking for the content. And we're also looking into additional logic-based form creation tools to expand on their current offering, ensuring that they're pre-qualifying the information as much as possible, helping internal teams. Future branding updates are much more simplified and can be rolled out on a slice-by-slice basis if needs be, negating that need for a holistic, done-in-one, huge, big push to launch a new website, when really things could be subtly shifted over time if needs be. Overall, looking long-term, we foresee considerable cost savings in migration, integration, and scalability. And using Prismic to create a headless site has presented a strategic, efficient, and forward-thinking solution for JMW. So I think from my perspective, I just want to thank you all for listening and thank the guys who've gone before me, David, Alex, and I think we need to now move on to any questions.
So yeah, we're just going to go over some of the common questions that we get around Headless and Prismic as well. We've only got a few, but really, coming from this, if people are unfamiliar about Headless, hopefully we've delivered some of the essential information that you need to kind of make an informed decision about what website technology that you want to adopt in the future. Obviously, we would recommend Headless and Prismic, but we hope that these questions kind of give a bit more insight. So the first couple will be answered by ICOM from David, and we've got a couple about resources as well, and some other bits and bobs that we'll touch on at the end. So got the questions up on the screen here. So the first one really is, people will be asking, can I still use popular content management systems with a headless approach? So, can I just take my existing website and make it headless? So David, do you want to have a go at answering that one?
Well, like with all questions, the answer is always, it depends. If you've got a WordPress site, they do have an API, so it is feasible to be able to make that into a headless solution. The only downside is you won't get as much as the security benefit if you're still using it for other things that are outside of the content. So if you're still using it for form submissions, then obviously if the forms are going into the WordPress, you're kind of exposing that WordPress site still. But we do use Magento headless, so we've got clients using Magento headless, and we'll get other headless CMSs that then push the content side, but we're using the store functionality from Magento. So yes, but it depends on the API's availability, essentially.
Brilliant. And I suppose if someone kind of was curious where they could get started, they could always just, come to an agency and ask questions and say, what can we do with this and how can we make it headless? And we go from there.
Yeah.
So case by case basis, it sounds like, but it's still possible.
It's very much possible. Most traditional CMSs are trying to put themselves APIs there because they know that that's the way they go in, and they obviously don't want to lose market. But yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So is it possible to migrate an existing website to a headless architecture. I guess that kind of touches on the first question. Obviously, with JMW, we did migrate an existing website into a headless architecture, but are there any kind of instances where that might not be possible, or is it possible in every sense?
So migration's always just a case of, you can always migrate things in some way. It's just more of a case of how much of a headache it is. So Prismic itself has import-export options, so we can use them for migration. Obviously, whatever CMS it's coming from can also, if they've got import-export, and it's a case of mapping that data and migrating it that way. The main benefit of Headless, though, is the case of like reducing that migration cost over time. So if you do put your content in Prismic and you do put your sales data into a headless e-commerce platform, if you do put your warehousing data is also feeding the website with its the delivery status. It's a case of like, if you move from one system to another, you're only ever worrying about that data. So you kind of like, if you decide you need a new e-commerce platform, but you want to keep the content on your website the same, it's a case like, it's only that bit that you need to migrate, not everything. So it's a case of like Headless benefits by reducing migration costs over time rather than maybe the initial outset.
Brilliant. Great. And so I think the next one would be kind of for Prismic to answer, and to be for people kind of curious about, well, I've got a website, I kind of need a new website. What do I need? What internal resources do I need to get started with a new headless website or a CMS like Prismic?
Hi everyone, I'm Eric. I'm the community lead at Prismic. You're just meeting me. I've been following along in these fantastic presentations. I'll give a good framework, and then Alex, you can jump in after that. The three things that we recommend that you think about having are content folks, designers, and developers. So those roles are obviously distinct, but can be done by, there's some fantastic people out there that can do multiple things. If you can't bring those in-house, they're all also available through great agencies like ICOM, who can set you up with everything you need. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Eric kind of nailed it. It's not, so we are not the kind of off-the-shelf option that like if anyone's ever listened to a podcast, you're familiar with Squarespace, right? You know that there are website builders that allow you to just kind of like, no matter what your coding experience, no matter what your technical experience, you can build a website. But there are a lot of downsides to that, right? Like there's pros and cons, right? The accessibility of that website building experience brings with it a lot of downsides. Prismic and most in the headless CMS space are not that kind of thing where you will need a development team. So if you are a marketing team, there's not really, between Prismic or any of the other options, it's not really like a one-click solution or something that you can get to without someone who knows a good bit of JavaScript or can just, develop that website for you. Yeah, as Eric said, reaching out to an agency, a freelancer, can start those conversations and can get you towards this paradigm.
Brilliant.
So
great, thanks. I think Jane's going to touch on this one. So, do I need technical knowledge to be able to operate a headless CMS like Prismic?
So I think we've all sort of touched upon it in our presentations a little bit about how simple and where you input the content is. The good thing about the system is that it's very streamlined. Like I say, it's easy to use. It's only really got in there what you need. So no, you don't really need a lot of technical knowledge. It helps, obviously, if you are a little bit more technical, but ultimately the short answer is no, you don't need to be particularly technical to operate the CMS.
Brilliant.
yeah, I would second that. Just just so that my previous answer isn't confusing, getting started and getting like the actual like website built and the slices built, that's where a developer needs to be there. But as Jane just said, once that's set, Prismic and other CMSs in this space, they're all very easy to operate for people who are not technical. If you can work most CRM, CMSs, whatever, you can also use Prismic, absolutely. And if not, hey, I'll drop my information in the chat and we can talk about it. So Happy to help.
Great. And I guess so if someone were to be using Prismic and say if they didn't have, an agency handling it, or even if they did and, they wanted to learn more, what resources are available to help people build and manage their headless website?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one again. And so Prismic does a number of things from the community, as well as through the company to help you get up to speed on Prismic, on Headless, and on executing on whatever your vision is. And so the primary spaces where you can get a lot of help are one, our forum, so community.prismic.io. We have a YouTube channel where we're pumping out fantastic content on the regular. Alex's team, the developer experience team, has been dedicated this whole last couple of months to putting out some really fantastic content. Also on that YouTube channel, you'll find a monthly meetup where we talk about Prismic, but also we talk about Headless, and we bring on fantastic guests who have had incredible success implementing all the things that we talked about today and are sharing their own stories so that you can get an idea of exactly what's possible and see it happen in real life. The two other resources that I'll mention are our blog. We're putting out great content there, to little guides, some insights. You can also get a peek into the day in the life of some of the developers who are doing the kind of work that you can expect from anyone working with Prismic. And then, as Alex mentioned earlier, we do run an early access program. So if you are getting into Prismic and you really want to get at the forefront of this technology, we'll give you access to it before anyone else. And so we call that our early access program. Right now, there's a banner at the top of our website, so you can sign up for the most recent one that we are getting ready to launch. But we post all those in our blog. So keep an eye on that or in the forum, and you'll be sure to be able to jump in. I think that covers just about anything. Alex, did I leave anything out?
I think you nailed it.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, that brings us to the end of our live stream and kind of discussion on Headless for now. I'm sure we'll have lots of conversations about this with future clients as we kind of people start to take on more websites, and obviously we love using Prismic at ICOM. But yeah, thank you for joining us today and for your time. It's been brilliant.